We now have three very special guests and very strong refugee voices joining us at this virtual conference. So a heartful welcome to you, Musna Al-Sohori, to you, Benjamin Abunuasi, and to you, John Monychirin Madong, to the DRC Global event. Techfugees is a global non-profit which advocates for the use of technology to support refugees and displaced people. And I should emphasize, Techfugees is one of DRC's new friends from the global event journey. It's also my pleasure to introduce Raj Burman, the CEO of Techfugees, who will facilitate the next session. Raj, I hereby hand it over to you to start the next session with our three key guests who will share insights about change, about leadership, and digitalization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary General. Your Excellency, fellow delegates, and all those distinguished who dedicate themselves to the noble mission of empowering inclusion of forcibly displaced people worldwide. It is my great honor to open this keynote conversation on leadership, digital, and change for this event. We meet this year under very unusual circumstances, a moment intermingled with great pain and extraordinary possibilities. The devastating pandemic continues to claim many, many lives around the world and is blending with conflicts, poverty, food insecurity, and climate change, compounding effects to the humanitarian displacement crisis. A crisis that is a 70-year global story of increasing proliferation of human displacement that has doubled over the last decade to 1% of humanity being displaced today. And this figure is set to rise rapidly due to climate change being a catalyst. So we are faced with an unusual circumstance that require unusual acts, as conventional wisdom is our enemy. But history has taught us that complex problems in turning the impossible can be made possible through mutually reinforced activities with united collective actions, whether from breaking down ideological walls to sending people to space. Our changing landscape and increasingly digital world represents a unique opportunity for a paradigm shift to pivot traditional styles of management and leadership centered on driving for results, for shareholder value and profit, to reimagine new and better ways to create the conditions for people and organizations to come together and to unite and to collaborate and to enable positive outcomes for those who are displaced. I'm very fortunate to be Chief Executive for Techfugees. And what we do is we bring the digital tech sector together with cross-sector organizations and volunteers to empower inclusion of displaced people with responsible digital technology. As a global collective, we unite to not only advocate human rights, but we show up to give, to uplift and empower inclusion with responsible digital innovations for displaced persons who have equitable access to information, education, health, work, and social integration in the digital society for their betterment. In short, everyone in the Techfugees global community serve as servant leaders. And as creative empaths, we scope innovative digital solutions developed for and with displaced persons with a duty of care. In short, it is not about me, but it's about we, and where we all drench ourselves with the core values of dignity, respect, equality, neutrality, commitment, and humility in our personal DNAs to fuel magnetism for the international community solidarity, to digitally uplift those who have fallen and displaced. Humanity really matters. Our sense of purpose is changing the perspectives of rather painting refugees and displaced people as fear and caution, to see the real opportunity that harness and invest in untapped, undiscovered human talent from displaced communities, to fill the digital and labor skill shortage that is so critical to kickstart the post-pandemic economic growth recovery. In short, every voice counts, and we serve to elevate those who are unheard and unseen to the forefront. So it is my real honor to welcome three remarkable representatives from our diverse community to share their perspectives of leadership, change, and digital. We have John Madong from Kenya, Musna dialing in from Lebanon, and Benjamin from the Waranja settlement camp in Uganda, who have all shown up to give their personal, emotional stories of displacement, sharing their insights to the local initiatives being taken and their vision for the better future. Musna speaks Arabic and she has basic English, and I'm very fortunate to have the support of a translator at hand to help her so we can hear her story. So to begin with introductions, I'd like to first turn to John in Kenya to introduce his story, his role, and why, for him, helping refugees and displaced people is very important. Over to you, John.
Thank you so much, Raj. First and foremost, it's a great honor and a privilege to be given this golden opportunity today. To introduce myself, my name is John Monychirin Madong. I'm a South Sudanese. I'm a South Sudanese refugee residing in Kakuma refugee camp. I'm 22 years old. Currently, I'm a student at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, and I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree in information technology. I'm a fourth-year student. My journey to the refugee camp started in 2014 when civil war broke out in my country. To keep my safety from insecurities, I came to Kakuma refugee camp together with my two cousins. It was a traumatizing journey. It wasn't easy because psychologically it affected me. I saw that there's no more future. I lost hope completely because I had to leave behind my family and came to the camp alone. Fortunately, we were held up by UNHCR and were taken to the camp. They placed us in a reception. That was 2014. Yeah, life a little bit changed, and even though it was lucky to get basic needs that I needed as a child who is not yet reached 18 years, life in the camp, it wasn't that fair because of hardship environment. Kakuma refugee camp is very big, full of a lot of hot climate. The environment is not favorable. Even the food there is not enough. The insecurity is so high. And even the quality of education that is being offered there, it's very low. But since we have no choice, we had to persevere with it and move on with life. As a young man with a lot of determination and having a lot of dreams to achieve in life, just to be like other people, I believe it was possible through education. And I got enrolled in Greenlight Secondary School. It's a refugee school in Kakuma. I took my education very serious with determination, hard work, and remaining focused with the goal that I have that I want to achieve in life. In 2016, I graduated from high school where I emerged as the top student in my school. I was the best student in the national exam of Kenya, that is Kenya Certificate of Secondary School Education. I have always been passionate. I've always been passionate to serve my community in one way or the other. In 2017, I had to volunteer as a teacher in my former high school for 2 good months before I was employed as a teacher by secondary school education program, which was being managed by Window International Kenya. I later got Duffy. Duffy is a scholarship program being implemented by Window International Kenya. I got Duffy scholarship in the same year, 2017, September, and I was brought to Nairobi to come and study my bachelor's degree to further my tertiary education, to do bachelor's in information technology. As my life continued, as the parcel of my life continued, I offered hygiene and health sensitization to my community through NRC. NRC, that is Norwich Refugee Council. It's an NGO operating in Kakuma. Apart from that, during my long holidays, I could come back to the refugee camp to create a mentorship program, counseling to the students who are schooling in the camp. On top of that, since the global pandemic came, and they have no background knowledge of how to manage COVID-19, I took an initiative to create COVID-19 awareness in the camp together with my team. To continue, additionally, I was proactively engaged myself to volunteer in several programs because I love volunteer work. I am currently volunteering as a community coordinator for Techfugees Kenya chapter for approximately 2 years, which I started last year. Almost reaching 2 years now. On top of that, at the campus level where I am in right now, I'm the representative for Duffy, for Jekwa Duffy students. Duffy is a very big scholarship program which is sponsoring many students. And in Jomo Kenyatta, we have so many students. I'm one of I'm representing them. Additionally, I'm representing international students at the university in the sports department. My role at the Techfugees, one is that as a community coordinator, I have to work to bring local communities, those are the CBO community-based organization, which are locally operating in the camp, to partner with the Techfugees in solving problems being faced by the displaced people or the refugees in a digital manner. We have partnered with several organizations. Those are the community-based organizations. We are partnered with several of them. We have Kakuma Ventures, we have World Hope of Vulnerables, and we have the Learning Lions. These organizations, we partner with them and set up projects that are aimed to help the refugees that are based in the camp to improve their livelihood. Lastly, I ensure that Techfugees projects are being operated in the camp and are achievable through contributing my ideas to the possible solutions. Because I'm in the ground, I interact with the refugees on a daily basis. I know their problems which are affecting them. And I believe that refugees need to be inspired because these are people who have lost hope. They have been traumatized, and they really need to be inspired so that they can be like other people who have achieved it in life, restoring their dignity and hopes. Majority of them have been traumatized and have lost hope due to challenges that have affected them in the places they were in. Therefore, it is vital to restore their hopes back to the part of their society, to improve their livelihood. Since majority of refugees have low living standard, through training them with technical skills, entrepreneurial skills, and even giving them education, I think that once they are given those skills, their living standard will be improved. I have not much to say, and I'm really very grateful for this chance. Thank you, Raj, and back to you. Any question, I'll be glad to answer. Thanks.
Thank you so much, John. A really inspiring and emotional journey that you've gone through, and thank you for sharing your story. As John says, we're going to highlight many conversations around this topic of leadership, digital change. So please, I do encourage all the participants and delegates to ask questions in the chat, and we will answer as many as we can. With that, I would like to now turn to Lebanon, and we have our lovely Muzna online who would like to share her story.
Thank you,
So, Muzna,
thank you.
welcome. Over to you, Muzna.
Thank you. السلام عليكم للجميع. I'm Muzna, co-leader in Techfugees Lebanon. لجأت للبنان بحزيران 2013 بعد رحلة صعبة للنجاة من الموت يلي كان عم يحاصر مدينتي بهداك الوقت. مدينتي هي مدينة حدودية اسمها القصير.
On you. My name is Muzna, co-leader in Techfugees Lebanon. I sought refuge in Lebanon since June 2013 on a difficult journey to escape death dominating my border city, Al-Qusayr.
بعد اعتقال قوات النظام لبابا وقتله فقداني لمعظم أفراد عائلتي بالقصف المستمر على المدينة، ورغم أنه توقفت عن دراسة هندسة الإلكترون كل شيء صار معي ما توقفت أبداً عن الحياة، بل هذا كان دافع لأستمر بدون ما أستسلم لكون ضحية أو لاجئة.
This was when my father got arrested and murdered by the regime forces, when I lost most of my family members in the continuous bombing. Although I stopped studying electronic engineering, and despite all what happened to me, this did not stop me at all, but motivated me instead to continue, survive without giving up, to become a victim or a refugee.
تطوعت لتوسيع الانتهاكات بحق اللاجئين، دعمتهم بمجالات عديدة أبرزها التعليم، الصحة والإغاثة الثقافية. حصلت بال2016 على منحة دراسية لكمل دراسة علوم الحاسوب كمبيوتر ساينس. اتخرجت السنة الماضية بسنة الكوفيد. كرست وقتي كله بين تطوير نفسي ومساعدة اللاجئين بلبنان.
I volunteered to document violations against refugees and to support them in many fields, most importantly, education, health, and cultural relief. In 2016, I was granted computer science scholarship to study computer and graduated in the COVID year, which was last year. I devoted all of my time in between developing myself and helping refugees.
هون محرومين من حقوقنا بدون أي حماية قانونية. مع هيك أنا قضيت كتير من الحملات التطوعية والمبادرات لتعزيز الاندماج والسلم المجتمعي بين المجتمع المضيف واللاجئين.
So we are here, stripped of our rights and without any legal protection. I led many volunteer campaigns and initiatives to promote integration and communal peace between the host community and the refugees.
مع أختي ابتكرت شركة ناشئة ستارت اب اسمها جيلي فيش لإعادة تدوير أكياس بلاستيك المستخدمة، والهدف الأساسي هو دعم الاستقلال الاقتصادي للنساء.
Together with my sister, we created a startup company called Jellyfish to recycle used plastic, and the goal is to support women economically, to become economically independent.
مع أصدقائي أسست رابطة الطلاب الجامعيين بلبنان يلي ساعدتها من خلالها مئات الشباب للحصول على منح دراسية والتقدم لها، بالإضافة لإيجاد محاولة إيجاد الحلول للصعوبات يلي منواجهها مع وزارة التربية كلاجئين.
With my friends, I founded the Association of University Students in Lebanon, AUSL, through which we helped hundreds of young people in applying for and obtaining scholarships, in addition to finding solutions to difficulties that we are facing with the Ministry of Education.
من 2019 تطوعت مع تكفيوجيز، أسسنا فريق لبنان لدعم ومساعدة اللاجئين بالحلول التكنولوجية لنوجد فرص عمل عن بعد، وحالياً أنا منسقة ببرنامج الديجيتال كوريدور بمنطقة البقاع.
Since 2019, I have been volunteering with Techfugees to support and help refugees with technological solutions in finding remote work. And currently, I am a coordinator for the Digital Corridor program in the Biqaa.
شكراً أماني.
Thank you. Thank you, Muzna.
Shukran, Muzna. Shukran, Amadi. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Incredible journey you have gone through. We have a final story. This time we're going now over to Uganda. An amazing individual. His name is Benjamin, who's based in the Rwanda settlement camp. I'm hoping we'll dial in. Good to see you, Benjamin. Welcome. Could you share us your story and why helping refugees and displacement is important for you? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to you, Raj, for the platform and everyone to have attended the meeting. I am pretty happy to see an amazing turn up from everyone. And today, this morning, I'm again happy or grateful to share my story with you. I am Benjamin Abunuasi from Republic Democratic of Congo, DRC. It is a country that is most targeted by rebels and with a lot of groups, rebellion groups. Like past week, my town where I was born, Bukavu, south side of Congo, it was under the hands of rebels, and all the families were really attacked, and some of them again fled to countries like again Uganda, Burundi, and Rwanda, just the nearest country, looking for safety. 1 week before, previous week, this is last week, Goma, which is a province again in Congo, the side of northern, it has also been attacked by rebels. We have many groups of rebels that are trying to attack and destabilize the country. And due to all these insecurities, I fled to Uganda during 2017 looking for safety. And I was a university student. Unfortunately, I never completed my third year university because of such insecurities. I got separate with my family during a night, but when we were attacked in the night, as my dad was a politician, and we got a night attack looking for my daddy to be killed. So we had to separate in the home, and everyone had to find his way out to save his lives. So we got separate during the night. My family, this is my mom and some siblings, took the way to central Congo, and I myself found myself in Uganda during the next day. And then being in Uganda, fortunately, the UNHCR gave me a hand and took me to a refugee camp, and this is Nakivale settlement, whereby my life was really became very worse to the extent that I was frustrated. Why? Because with my university degrees, I tried my utmost looking for any form of job, any form of resettlement, and nothing was successful. So I was dependent to people. I was frustrated. I looked something to eat. I looked for any form of opportunity, and nothing came to nothing came to me. I don't forget the day I spent all the night into someone's veranda, just waiting for the time for them to eat, and I get a chance to eat. Unfortunately, I never got that chance. So all the night I spent without eating. The next morning, I had to do a petty job of making bricks. I began making a brick, whereby we could sell a brick to 100 shillings, which is like a dollar, dividing a dollar by 99 times 99. So for me to make $1, I have to make approximate of 50 bricks, and which takes 5 hours to make. Fortunately, during that time, I got to meet with a friend who introduced me to an online scholarship that was providing social entrepreneurship. And as I loved studying, I applied and went through a scholarship. I started social entrepreneurship. Later on, I discovered that social entrepreneurship would be a great tool to transform my refugee communities. And that I found that many or the majority of youth in the camp face the same challenge that I faced. And for them do not resist. So what they do, they just resort to drugs abuse. They go for prostitution. They go for early marriages, whereby you will find a child of 14 or 15 years is already pregnant. Parents themselves are forcing young children to get married and to marry. Either way, let's, for example, in the refugee camp, if there is someone who is able to provide for basic needs, the family will do their best. Even if they have a child of 12 years, they will force this child to get married to this great family so that they can get some little money to be, some little opportunities to be providing for their families. So these are kind of situations that are happening in the refugee communities due to lack of access to basic need or great life. So during 2019, the idea of the Youth Innovation Hub came in my head. And during 2020, I spent all the year together with my team of 2 members. We spent all the year incubating our program through acceleration, taking part of any accelerator programs. And we tested the idea throughout the year during the through workshops and other programs we were organizing during 2020. And during the same year, we got the chance to connect with Techfugees, and which by today I am a Techfugees colleague with a chapter in Uganda. The Techfugees in Uganda, we are focusing on fostering digital education to refugees. Remember that we are fighting to make sure that all refugees have access or can create a job. And digital is one of the tools that will support refugees to create a job as I access a job. If I will speak about the little jobs opportunity in Uganda, whereby Uganda has 17% of available job, and the population of Uganda, 77% of the population of Uganda are youth, and who are all willing to get access to this 17% of available jobs in Uganda, which is impossible. If local themselves are not having access to jobs, what about the refugees who have just come in the camp with a lot of challenges, such as language barrier? They are coming from a different background or different educational background. Let's say, for example, in Congo, where in my province or other province of Congo, whereby someone will get a university diploma without digital skills. These are countries that are still behind, under development, and have no chance to have all all what it requires, all the skills that require someone to be well equipped. And today, in the refugee camp from Moncha, with Techfugees, we have come up with a motto that says knowledge is freedom, meaning if these refugees have lacked freedom from their home country and are still running to refugee settlement, looking for freedom or for safety, why can't we turn a refugee camp into a ground opportunity? So we have come together with our partners, Buffalo Grid, Techfugees, Youth Innovation Hub, and many other partners whom we are trying to partner together to make sure that we are turning the challenges in the refugee camp into opportunities, giving refugee access to job or giving them the ability to create job and make the refugee a better place for everyone. I will not limit it from there. As per now, we are building a community hub. And with this community hub, we've been building since July this year. With less funds or less resources for building, we have been quite slow. As per now, I will make an invitation to everyone part of this meeting to give us a hand. As soon we are planning to launch a crowdfunding campaign to raise the necessary fund to complete the building. And we shall really be grateful to have you raising your voice or raising your hands towards achieving this goal. If there is any question from anyone in the event, I will be grateful to respond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Benjamin. What an incredible story. Wow. So fellow delegates, what you've just heard are three remarkable individuals who have not stood still. I think the key thing to note is that, nobody wants to be displaced and become a refugee. With current events, it can happen. It's an event that can happen to you, me, or anybody, right? But what you've just heard are three individuals across the planet who've been affected by by conflicts and now even climate change. But rather than sitting still, they've taken they're on a hero's journey. They've gone through from fear and fleeing to states of discovery and finding it a new way, new beginnings. So I want to personally thank John, Muzna, and Benjamin for sharing their personal and very emotional story, as I know it can instill some memories going back in the past. But thank you so much for sharing those stories. We've literally got about 20 minutes or so, and I'd like to keep the session interactive. So please do ask us questions. Please do engage with John, Muzna, and Benjamin. Ask questions if you do. It'd be great. We'll welcome that. But I wanted to now turn to focus on the digitalization aspects. And I want to go back to John, if I may, to really talk about some of the local initiatives that are happening in Uganda. And John, if you can share us a little bit of the insights that you're seeing, and please do share us your vision of what a better future looks like, and what you'd like to ask the audience. Over to you, John.
Thank you, Raj. I would kindly request if you could repeat your question. It wasn't clear because of network issues in my place.
Absolutely, John. So please share us what some of the local initiatives that you and your team are taking in Kenya, and your vision of the future, and what you'd like to ask the audience.
Okay, thank you. Some of the local initiatives that we are currently doing here in Kenya, as before I said, I'm volunteering with Techfugees Kenya, and in Techfugees Kenya, we're exploring different dimensions on how we can shift in to solve the problems. So far, Techfugees is partnering with is working in hand with the Red Cross, working in a mobile app that will be used for managing the e-health sector. Number two, we have also partnered with the Buffalo Grid. In the Buffalo Grid, there's a project we are working on to facilitate education sector. Thirdly, we are having the digital program. It's called Digital Spark program. Digital Spark program, it's a partnership which came when Techfugees in September 2021 partnered with Google together with Coursera to sponsor refugees so that they can gain skills, technical skills in courses which can make someone get a job or get ready for the job market. And some of these courses included UX design, data analytics, IT support, and whereas project management. So the program has been launched. So far, we have almost many students have been enrolled in the scholarship program called Digital Spark, and they are busy learning online, and they are gaining skills. They will be given a recognized certification so that once they apply for jobs, they will be able to manage the job because they have the competent skills they have been gotten. Thank you. Any question you would like to ask, Raj?
No, that's great. Thank you, John, for sharing that. Amazing insights that you've currently got in Uganda, in Kenya at the moment. That's amazing. I would now want to turn to Lebanon, if I may, Muzna, and would like to ask you the same question, Muzna. I know Lebanon is going through quite a lot of changes and challenges at the moment. Could you share some of the initiatives that you and the team are doing at the moment in Lebanon, and your vision and what you'd like to ask as well? Thank you.
بعد 10 سنين من اللجوء بعد 10 سنين من اللجوء السوري بلبنان، لازم نتحول كمنظمات إنسانية من تقديم المساعدة للاجئين والنظر لهم كمحتاجين فقط. ندرك إنه اللاجئين بيملكوا مهارات، خبرات، شهادات لازم ندعمها تفعل دورهم بدل ما نهمشهم بالمجتمع.
After 10 years of Syrian asylum in Lebanon, we must change from humanitarian organizations that solely provide assistance to refugees and see them as needy persons into realizing that they have skills, experiences, and credentials. that we should support and activate their role instead of marginalizing them in the community.
القوانين الصارمة بلبنان بتمنعنا كلاجئين من العمل، بنواجه كتير صعوبات كمان مثل الحصول على الإقامة صالحة، امتلاك حساب بنك، فتح شركة.
Lebanon strict laws stop refugees from working, and we face many difficulties such as obtaining a valid residency, having a bank account, or launching a company.
بتكيفيوجز بنشتغل على الاستثمار بالمهارات المتقدمة غير المستغلة اللي بيملكوها اللاجئين بمجالات التكنولوجيا، بندعمهم وبنسهل وصولهم لفرص العمل خارج لبنان.
At Techfugees, we work on investing untapped advanced skills that refugees possess in fields of technology, supporting them and facilitating their access to job opportunities outside Lebanon.
تم تطوير برنامج الديجيتال كوريدور لتسهيل الوصول إلى العمل الرقمي للاجئين ذوي المهارات المتقدمة والتقنية بلبنان، لنخلق كمان جسر للمواهب الرقمية هيدي بكندا.
The Digital Corridor program in Lebanon was developed to facilitate access for refugees who have technical skills into digital work and to create a bridge of digital talents to Canada.
بالديجيتال كوريدور بنشتغل مع المنظمات لنزود اللاجئين بتدريب مدفوع الأجر على مهارات العمل عن بعد، ثم لنوفر الفرصة لتحسين الخدمات الرقمية والتقائهم بشركات تكنولوجية بكندا، وأخيراً لنوصل إلى إعادة توطين إداري ومهني للمطورين من لبنان لكندا.
In the Digital Corridor, we work with organizations to provide refugees with paid training in remote working skills, and thus providing the opportunity of improving digital services and meeting with Canadian technology companies. And so eventually, we would reach administrative and professional developers of refugees resettlement from Lebanon to Canada.
السنة الماضية اجت جائحة كورونا لتوقف حياة البشر. أزمة اللجوء مثل الوباء بتحاصرنا بسجن واحد منطقة جغرافية وحدة.
Last year, COVID pandemic came up to stop human life, and similar to the pandemic, refugees crisis besieges us in one prison and one geographical area.
من المهم إنه ندعم الجسور الرقمية اللي عم نشتغل عليها لنسلط الضوء على مستقبل اللاجئين ونجعلهم بوابة التغيير الإيجابي بكل مكان.
It is very important to support digital bridges that we are working on to illuminate the future of refugees and to make them a gateway to positive change everywhere.
نزودهم بالأدوات والمهارات التقنية ونفتح لهم أفق التواصل مع المجتمعات بكل البلدان.
So then to provide them with technical tools and skills and to open horizons of communication with other countries' communities.
هي ثقافة العمل الجماعي وسد الفجوة الرقمية من خلال تكافؤ الفرص برؤية تكفيوجز.
So this is the teamwork culture and bridging the digital divide through equal opportunity.
شكرا.
Shukran Mazda, Shukran Amani, thank you so much. Benjamin, I'd like to go across to Uganda now. Benjamin, we have a question as well, but I'd like you to also highlight, I think you already mentioned some of the local initiatives in Uganda, if you could just reiterate that. But we have a particular question, Benjamin, which I think will be relevant for what you're doing. And the question is, what are the biggest barriers you feel communities face to access digital tools? What can humanitarian organizations do to overcome these barriers?
Yeah, great, nice question. Yeah, what I know, what I would suggest to the humanitarian organization is to consider the needs of refugees. And as per now, you will find that there are many refugees like me or someone else who are willing to start something to support the community. But what they're lacking is access to funds. Like, for example, if I can speak, sometimes back we wanted to decide to close the doors and stop supporting other refugees. Why? Because when such a startup of a refugee applies for something, you hear a organization responding that at this time we are not able to support you, like things like that. So humanitarian organization is to consider the refugee needs, to prioritize the refugees' needs. If they are refugees or other people who are trying to begin something that would support refugees, please. I remember one day I commented to something from the United Nations. I asked them, they always consider organizations that have grown, organizations that have set up big traction, but they don't look back to the startup. So if we only focus on the big organization and forget the startup, means there will not be any other newborn. And if there are no other newborn, means the generation will just get old, but the youth will not be there. Just think, imagine if you can focus only on elderlies or people who have already grown, and then we forget children. How will the next generation look like? So those are some of the things that are harming the community or the CBOs, as I see one question around here. Was that response enough, Raj?
That's great, Benjamin. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think this will really help to answer that question. I wanted to, we have a couple of great questions coming through, and thank you everybody for asking these questions. We have a particular question which I think is very relevant to John in Kenya. So if you can correct John back. And the question, John, as you know, John, COVID has impacted so many, particularly, I know in Kakuma, Calabar. But we have a question here from the audience saying, what has been the most effective ways of supporting refugees to design their own solutions? Now, I know, John, you spent a lot of time with refugees during the COVID crisis in the camp. So could you share your thoughts on that particular questions?
Excuse me, I beg your pardon.
So the question is, what has been the most effective way of supporting refugees to design their own solutions? So I wondered if you could share your insight. Obviously, COVID has impacted many in Kakuma, and I know that you worked on the e-health solutions. Could you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah. What have been done? What have been the most effective ways of supporting refugees to design their own solutions? I got it. I got the question. Thank you. Yeah. The global pandemic has really affected the refugees mostly in the camp, and most of the CBOs, they have come together to carry out sensitization initiatives whereby general awareness is being created on how these global pandemics should be prevented, how to keep yourself away from getting contracted with the disease. There has also been serious training being conducted in the camp, which has created general knowledge to the refugees in the camp. Yeah. Back to you. If it's not answered, you can let me know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. So I think you've just elaborated that it's absolutely very, very important as part of a human-centric design to involve refugees and displaced people. And thank you for sharing that insight, John. We have another question here, which is very relevant too. I think this is going to be for Muzna. If we can patch Muzna back in. Hi, Muzna. Muzna, Lebanon is going through quite a change. So the question here is, what are some of the challenges faced by local initiatives or community-based initiatives? Could you share your insight to that?
هلا هون بلبنان في جانبين للمشاكل يعني اللي والتحديات يلي منواجهها. في التحدي اللي هو يعني من خلال قوانين الحكومة اللي بتمنعنا قوانين صار من إنه نحن نتحرك أو ننفذ الأنشطة اللي بدنا إياها أو نقوم بالعمل اللي بدنا إياه حتى إنه نشتغل. أما أني بدك ترجمة؟
Okay, some of the challenges that are facing us here in Lebanon. First of all, we have two sides of challenges. The first side of challenge is the difficulties due to the strict laws of Lebanon. There are so much restricting us even to have our slightest rights to move on?
الجانب الثاني هو الأمور التقنية. يعني معظم اللاجئين عايشين بمخيمات، ما عندهم أبسط الحقوق، يعني عائلة طويلة عريضة، أحيانا 6 أشخاص أو أكثر بخيمة واحدة. ما يعني السبيس اللي هن عايشين فيه ما هو مؤهل حتى هن يكون عندهم كمان الإنترنت كافي، الأجهزة التكنولوجية اللي ممكن تدعمهم. كل هيدول الأشياء عائق.
The second side of those challenges are the technical issues that the refugees live with every day in the campaigns. More than six refugees live in one camp, and this makes it very, very difficult in regards to living and space and some sort of freedom as well. And also the internet, we've got no internet. So all of these things are just extreme difficult challenges that we're facing daily.
كمان في نقطة مهمة اللي هي إنه دايماً المنظمات بتوجه تدريبات للريفيوجي. صار في كتير تدريبات. بعد التدريبات لوين نحن محتاجين نشتغل، محتاجين نكون منتجين، محتاجين تتأمل لنا فرص عمل.
One more important thing that is giving us difficulty and training.
أنا ما بقدر أسمع، ما بعرف إذا بتسمعوني. النقطة الأخيرة يلي بدي مسموع صوتي.
Amani, could you please repeat? I think we lost your connection for a minute.
I deleted it, but I think I'll remember what she said. She said that one of the challenges that are adding to the difficulties that we're daily facing is that the endless training that organizations are giving us. It's endless. So till when we'll be receiving such training? We are well trained, we have good credentials, and we just need to move on by having work and being more practical.
النقطة الأخيرة والكتير مهمة إنه أنا شخصياً بالأسبوعين اللي ماضيات خلال هذا الشهر فقدت كتير من أصدقائي اللي هن دارسين متعلمين وهن مؤسسين مبادرات بلبنان، ولكن بسبب الوضع الاقتصادي، الأوضاع السياسية والأزمة اللي عم نعيشها قرروا يطلعوا لبيلاروسيا، وهلأ هن علقانين بالغابات.
Okay, the last point that she would like to add into here and to address very clearly that herself, she lost within the past 2 weeks many of her dear friends who are very well educated, have excellent credentials, but who had to take the decision eventually to go to Russia, but in fact they are stranded there at the borders of Russia.
Thank you, Musna. Thank you, Amani. We are literally coming up to the closing final stages of this keynote conversation. I hope you're really enjoying this session. We have time just maybe for one final question, literally for 2-3 minutes. And I'd like to bring in Benjamin for this particular question, if I may. Benjamin, I know that you are very, very passionate on refugee entrepreneurship, and you're physically building a community tech hub, which is so inspirational to help the entrepreneurs in Rwanda settlement camp. This question is very relevant for you, and I think it'll touch your passion point. And the question is this: how do technology and lack of connection affect or hinder refugee youth leadership, creativity, and aspiration? If you can share us your thoughts in maybe 1 or 2 minutes, that'd be great. And I look forward to that. Thank you.
That is a very nice question, Raj. And it is something I wanted to speak about before. Grateful the question has come in. So when we speak about connectivity, looking the current situation with COVID and where the world is heading right now, all the world is running digitally. Like you see, everything is happening digitally. People are already used to making sales online, making connection online. Like everything, I will say 92% of the work we are doing is happening online. And let's assume this refugee who is wanting to start an idea, who is wanting to start a project, but have no access to connectivity. What will this person do? If today can build a hub, it is because we have been online. I can get data to connect online, but this is just 1 out of 5 refugees who have access to or have the chance to connect online. Why? Because not every refugee has money, has the resources that's required to be online. People right now in the camp have no mobile phones. In the camp, there are some who have digital skills, but they have no access to a computer. They have internet. There is no electricity. Right now in the camp, there is no electricity. Like currently, I'm just remaining with 20% in my computer. Why? It is because the government is not trying to prioritize the needs of refugees. But if you reach in Kampala or some other towns, you will find electricity there. But right now for refugees, we have no electricity. I believe that international organization, they are non-government organization, but can find a way to influence such situation by providing maybe solar hubs to organization like Techfugees Uganda, or other CBOs that are starting in the refugee camp. But you will find some people have given their strengths, investing their money, investing their resources, energy, intelligence into beginning something that supports refugee community. But there are less international organizations that are supporting these people. Recalling back to the question that Raj asked me, what should international organization do? One, I will say, is really I emphasize on prioritizing the needs of refugees. And when you are launching an application or you are availing funds for something, please think in a way that have grown. I have had a look into some application. You will find the criteria are bigger than the people who are beginning the initiative, whereby they will say, okay, present operation, a budget of very tricky for some people who are beginning the organization to grow. So when I speak about connectivity with refugees, it is something very important. Refugees, they can connect back with the people they left home. They have some other people who have been resorted outside of the country. And I have a concrete example. Just in the previous weeks during the construction, I had a youth who came to support the construction, and he told me that, Ben, you want to provide internet here, so I will give my strengths. I will offer myself to support you. Why? Because I will have access to connectivity. And why I'm doing this, it is because when I came from Congo, the first refugee camp that received Earth just for 2 weeks, I got connected with four friends of mine. We are sleeping in the same tent. But when the UNHCR took us to Rwanda to be resorted to Rwanda, until now I have not got the chance anymore to connect with my friend. And this is something I am crying about. But if I had a WhatsApp, if I had Facebook, I would have connected with my friend, and right now we could have been chatting and to know how they are going. But this person is crying. He has lost something, or he has lost his connection, and this connection could be something great for his future or to improve his life.
Oh, thank you, Benjamin. I resonate with me deeply. Thank you for sharing that story. Well, I realize that our time is up for this keynote conversations, and I firstly thank all the delegates for asking some amazing questions. I've apologized that we couldn't answer all of them, but please do reach out to us. We will be in the networking session, and to that end, I'd like to hand over to Rix and Anders for continuing the session. But I thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Musna, John, Benjamin. I really appreciate your generosity of sharing such inspirational stories, ideas, and I applaud you for your ingenuity and courage. It's really inspirational. Thank you so much also, Raj, for facilitating this conversation. What an opening. Anders?
Super. Yeah, it's time. We're heading up towards the first break. I was told we were a bit blurry in the morning. Maybe the morning coffee didn't quite kick in, sure. But we should have a fresh bucket of internet now, so we should be more sharp. Hope it works out there. We will now be closing the main stage, and you have to select a session of choice. There are 3 sessions you can choose between. Those are digital employment for the displaced, rights in a changing landscape, and displaced data, tackling digital financial inclusion. And you'll find these sessions in the menu on the left side. Just simply press the button called Sessions and you get to choose. But that's in 15 minutes. Before that, you'll have a short break, but you will have the opportunity to network, and we highly encourage you to go meet people. So just a little bit about how the networking facilities work. It's again the button on the left, and it will be open throughout the day. Once you're ready, press the network button, press join, and it's set up to a sort of speed dating, meaning you will be coupled randomly with another person for 2 minutes. And if the conversation were interesting and you want to continue, there's another button there called Connect. If both people press that Connect button, your informations will be shared, but only if both of you are choosing to connect. So we are, as we said earlier, in 55 countries. So I'm not going to try to say what time we'll be back. I'll just say we'll be back here in 11 minutes. So see you all back in the sessions in 11 minutes. In the meantime, we'll close the main stage. Enjoy the break. Enjoy the networking.